just about 30 minutes, my forehand went from this, nice, to this. That was just so smooth.
That was butter. Go in. Oh!
I'm whispering a little bit because there's a baby over there. I had been struggling bad with power, accuracy, angles, as well as a lot of wobble, as you saw. So when my buddy Broderick was coming into town, who also has a channel that you should subscribe to, I knew we were planning on filming something, but I wanted to see if I could steal an hour of his time and see if he could help fix my forehand. He throws with one of the smoothest forehand forms and over 70 miles an hour, so I knew if anyone could help me get back into form and having an at least acceptable forehand, it could be him.
Launched.
And then there's some back 9 ace runs on his channel that you should definitely watch after this video. But let me show you everything that we talked through in this 9-hole round with a couple different objectives. Let's get into it. Today we're out at one of my local courses, Adams Hollow. We're gonna see if we can fix my forehand today.
I think it's possible.
I got a couple goals for today. Hole number 7, once we get there, I wanna try to get in the circle on that hole. It's like 410, 400, slight downhill. If the wind's not bad, let's see if I can bomb it. Let's see if he can get me enough touch to be able to like flick a Rolo on one of these holes.
Ooh.
And then, what do you have a goal for me for today?
Less wobble. Less wobble.
Less wobble.
I watched your one video and
That was bad.
You threw a couple into the dirt and they were wobbling.
Were you watching my lefty video or?
Looked the same, I think.
So he'll be the judge of that. Otherwise, inside the circle on hole, well, I guess that means birdie, because if it's inside the circle, I got a birdie. But birdie hole 7, forehand and Rolo, less wobble. Do you want to see me first, or you just want to rip it and show him what's up?
I mean, I'll try.
317, right to the basket, 2 off the top. So smooth, nice and 30 short.
It was a Vila Vela. The last hole. Go in. That thing launched.
That was money.
Wow. Every time I've ever thrown a Vila Vela, I call it a Vila Vela because I don't know if it's Vila or Vela.
All right, 2 off the top for me. One, we'll throw Triceptor. A little straighter, Firebird kind of cloney guy. One of the things I've really been liking throwing, I think you kind of advocate for this a decent bit, is like throwing the not crazy beefy ones.
Yeah.
So like this one I'll probably throw flat to flex, and then this is my like straight Roman, which is from like the baby stamp, the last run stamp. So Romans are almost sold out. A lot of Emperors left, and those are some of my favorites, but maybe some merch coming at some point, eventually. Who knows?
Neutral, you know, like something that's gonna flip up and push.
Yeah.
Not flip over, but like get up and go a little bit.
Let me know what I need to work on. Nice. I know that I've like built up the strength and like the resiliency in my body to be able to do that, but it still feels like I'm gonna get overprotective of myself. So if there's any ways that you can help me like be an athlete, let me know.
Yeah.
All right, we'll throw this one better. Maybe a little more in the hips.
See, that's pretty solid.
Just a lot of wobble in it. And I don't really know where that comes from, but that's a sick shot.
Yeah.
Is that a Buzz SS?
Yeah.
That's so dirty. That's like
See, that's what you gotta get.
unbelievable.
You know what I mean?
This is my Buzz. The Mana is like my Buzz SS.
Yeah.
How? I gotta figure out how to get this wobble out of here.
Yeah.
First impressions, Coach Broad, what are you thinking?
So it's, you know, forehands is interesting because everyone's got different body types, obviously. I'm 5'11", but I have a 6'4" wingspan and long fingers, long arms. So for me, I feel like the forehand has always came pretty natural. I got lucky and the release has just always been kind of clean. And I think my leverages really helped me with a good forehand. What are you, 5'7"?
5'6".
5'6"?
Yeah.
5'6" wingspan.
You don't have to look that disgusted when you say that.
It's just the unfortunate circumstances for a forehand guy. But it's one of them things where you gotta find that throw, like, you know, rolling it off the middle finger, leading with that elbow, and you gotta find the feel that doesn't get you that wobble. It sounds simple, but I know like finding the feel is kind of a broad statement.
A broad statement.
It is a statement that I would say, but I think that's what we're gonna try and find here is get you to like feel one that comes off clean, and then be like, okay, what did I do differently there? I'll try and like maybe watch from the side, and we got to repeat that motion then.
Perfect.
Because that's it. Sometimes you have a perfect shot also.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think most of it is it's super inconsistent, and I haven't worked on it a ton. And so today's gonna be really helpful. Just honestly, just getting some intentional time working on it.
Yeah,
Buzz
Buzz
flight
Steve,
was-
that's actually insane how
so
good
nasty.
that throw was. I
Yeah.
just put this one in the bag too. I've thrown it like 6 times ever.
Like, that's genuinely, like, watching some of those flights, like the flippy mid-ranges, just like, it's the big germ style that, like, I want a powerful
Yeah.
forehand, but to have a 450 forehand with the touch,
See, and I
die for that.
so if I'm throwing like a Buzz SS, I'm kind of doing this little like swingy, like just flick. Whereas if I'm throwing like a Destroyer full power, I'm getting down and like really like driving into it. I don't know. Let's watch Anthony throw some more forehands.
Here, let's talk on the tee pad real fast, because I think I need to understand a little more how you're talking about just like driving the arm. Do you think standstill is better? And then 2, do you think, like with that really slow one, your arm is just doing, are you more like coiled through your core like this way? How do you feel about that in your core? Because I feel like sometimes I get to like backside dominant, like lat and external oblique dominant, and then I pinch off my angle here, whereas if I'm frontside oblique dominant, I have this like path to swing through. Kind of,
Yeah.
How do you feel it?
See, it's another tricky thing because I feel like I've just been doing it for so long. It
Yeah.
kind of feels natural. In my head, what I think is happening is I'm running up, leading with the elbow. As the elbow drives, the hand lags. The elbow almost transfers the energy through the core into the front leg. Now, is that actually what's happening? I don't know. Is that in my head what I think's happening? Yeah. So like if I throw this, a lot of people, I've said this drive with the elbow, lead with the elbow thing in 2 tutorials now, and
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people be like, what do you mean you don't lead with your elbow? And I'm like, watch the video in half speed.
Yeah.
Because my elbow, the thumbnail of the video I just
Yeah.
posted is literally my elbow being here and the disc being back here.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I do.
It's something too that like Gannon Burr has told me as well. Like that's something that he thinks about in his
Yeah,
forehand
so,
and what I
like,
need to work on.
The whole point of my video was like, don't throw the hand, throw the elbow. Because I feel like sometimes when you're throwing yours, you're almost like keeping the disc,
Forward.
like, and you're just like kind of,
That wobbled.
yeah, and I was trying to like
Yeah,
keep
throw it like
the
that, yeah.
arm, like I'm almost trying to keep the elbow back,
Yeah.
and like just throw it. Whereas if you know, like lead.
What's the tightest
bang,
part
like,
in your like
lead with
arm
the-
area? What's the tightest part?
I don't even know what you mean by that. Like
Like what feels like it's like being active when you're throwing it? Because for me sometimes I stabilize in my shoulder so I keep that kind of path. Maybe I need to, I don't know, I'll try a couple shots.
yeah, throw a
little
couple
more
because for me, not really a thought.
Yeah.
This is why like I try and explain these, you know, I try and do this like forehand tutorial, but I always try and preface it and say,
Yeah.
hey, I've been doing this for 15 years. And maybe because I can feel these things in my body, this is how I got. Maybe it doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
But I've also had hundreds of messages
Yeah.
of people being like, bro, that one video literally took me from 200 feet to 350, like in one day.
Yeah.
So let's
Interesting.
see a couple
It's
throws.
also interesting too because you talk about like not leading with the hand, but Ulibarri talks about leading with the hand. So it's just like different strokes and people.
Yeah.
But
But
it's also
Paul
different style.
this is not like a negative thing. Paul throws a lot of flex forehands.
That's okay.
You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
chops over the cap wrap. Obviously, he can throw a hyzer. So I think if you're like chopping, see, it still had some wobble,
Yeah.
but that was like a good throw.
Yeah.
See, those are solid.
Yeah. Very.
Are you
wobbly.
feeling it come off of your middle finger when you throw it? So that's
I'm not
another
really thinking about
That's
that.
another thing that I kind of think is like a big indicator of a lot of people are thinking like, okay, take your hand and literally just like throw the disc with your hand. But when I'm throwing a forehand, especially a finesse forehand, all I'm thinking about is literally the middle finger rolling off of the disc. So instead of being like, okay, I'm gonna take my fingers and just like throw it with them, I'm literally just trying to roll the disc off this middle finger.
I was really focused on getting a little bit of like the elbow feel of the elbow pushing through my core, which I feel like I felt better there. And like the throws looked a little different on
Yeah.
the hyzers. Like they popped on hyzer compared to my like.
See, that's the tricky
wimpiness.
thing is in those 2 throws right there.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see anything wrong. Not that I'm like a forehand
Yeah.
coach, but whereas that video I watched of yours,
Yeah.
like talking about your forehand,
Yeah.
I constantly felt like your hand was ahead of your elbow the whole time. Like you kind of kept it up here, and then you would just kind of flutter them out. Yeah. Like maybe since then you've already kind of had some improvement.
Yeah, I have been working on it, and honestly, throwing lefty was really helpful. Just in terms of bracing, honestly, was really helpful. But what you just said about throwing with the core made sense, and now I want to work on throwing it off my middle finger.
Yeah, so if you like just focus on like, okay, middle finger on the disc, and then you just push it. You know what I mean? And a lot of people will be like, "Bro, do you roll your wrist over?" Because it looks like cleaner. I'm rolling my wrist. Yeah. But what I'm really doing is, by the time my wrist is rolled, the disc is 100 feet away from me. Yeah. I'm exaggerating my follow through.
Yeah. Do you throw the same flat anhyzer and hyzer with like the same kind of laggy kind of style, or do you adjust it at all?
So I'm probably like gonna do everything I can to not throw a flex forehand, other than like a chop over approach with a tactic or something. Okay. If I do, yeah, I'm trying to like
same thing?
Feel the same kind of natural movement.
I will tell you, it feels like it's going 300 feet way easier right now.
Yeah, see, those two Romans you threw first, they felt like they were effortless, and they kind of like pushed well. Oh, look at that.
Whoa.
See, that was the smoothest throw you've ever thrown. That mana, very understable.
310.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That had no wobble at all.
No.
So, and what's that, a chariot?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's butter, dude.
All right.
And I can already tell, like, those didn't have wobble, and they looked like they felt better.
I feel more strained down here, but I think it's because I'm used to protecting this part of my arm, and so it's going to be a little goosebumpy because now it's
letting it loose. Yeah. So for me, I'm trying to literally make my hand not even. It's like it doesn't matter. It's just holding the disc. Yeah. And then an elbow is driving, and then the hand just happens to be hanging onto a disc and flinging it.
I'm excited for these next holes.
Yeah.
This is working. I think there was one thing you told me before this that like encapsulates everything, and all that is
be an athlete.
I think you had a couple more profanities in there, but we'll take it.
Be an athlete. Don't be a
cut. So this mono right here is not quite 310, probably about 290 to 300 feet, but on a little bit of a rope. Not a good putter. Honestly, very exciting. I was talking with Brad off cam just about how I've talked about this in other videos, but I feel like the training that I've done biomechanically and just like strength-wise in the gym, working on increasing ranges of motion, not compensating through the wrong parts of my musculature in different like ways that I'm moving my body, but instead it's gotten to the point where I think because I haven't worked on my forms, kind of intentionally, I've been really focusing on the channel, but I haven't worked on technique of throwing, and you can only transmit as much power as your technique will allow, and I think I'm at the point where my stability and strength are higher than my forms, and so I don't have to be scared about getting into these newer positions, which could feel scary, like leading with your elbow. It's like, well, I've trained myself so that my shoulder can move in the ways that it does that in a healthy way, and I'm not like overdoing it, but it's exciting to be with somebody who knows what they're doing and can kind of expedite that process.
I was telling Anthony that, like, if you've been a baseball player, when you hit a home run, you don't feel the ball hit the bat. So when you throw a really smooth forehand, it should be the same thing of, you shouldn't even feel it come out of your hand. You shouldn't feel it in your elbow. You shouldn't feel it in your shoulder, because it's, perfect, as whatever perfect means in disc golf. So when you hit a home run, it's perfect. You don't feel it. Throw a perfect forehand, you shouldn't feel it, and obviously that comes with time. I think the most important thing is find that feel and then repeat the feel, because then you can learn how your discs fly. That's what I think. I'm big on like throw the disc, or like just get your form, get the feel, but then find discs that fly right.
Yeah.
So that's why I throw a lot of like straighter stuff, I guess. Like I hyzer flip a lot of discs. We're just a mess.
This is how I'm carrying
it's
these.
Because I've found discs that when thrown on my natural, like smooth feeling release, they work for the throws I want to achieve. We got a DGA Squall here. This thing is flippy.
It's so flippy.
Honestly, I don't know if I've never flicked it yet. We're gonna see what we got here.
So like that has a little flutter, but it's not the same type of wobble.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
I mean, that wasn't perfect, but it did go laser beam straight. That's a fun disc right there.
Yeah.
I got a brand new, not brand new, I've thrown it here and there.
I've seen that disc in your
bag. But
it's
like, I never learn it because I just throw my other one. But we're gonna try and learn this one now.
Firebird?
I'll show you like my other style, I guess. If I'm trying to do a little more of like a direct, just like hit the gap or whatever, I'm just gonna kind of like get into it a little more and just really
Punch through.
like kind of hit it in a less of like a finessey, flaily like motion like these ones,
Yeah.
you know?
I feel like personally I always kind of trend towards their first style that you threw with the Superman.
Yeah, I think
because
so.
that's more like how I like it. Like I don't want to be.
I
all
think the
wobbly
only
personally.
way that I get away with I call it the big germ style,
Yeah.
is because of my wingspan.
Yeah.
Big germ's obviously what,
And I
6'5",
think also just, like,
6'6", so he
practice
also has the length to literally just go flick.
Yeah.
Whereas that first throw is
Yeah.
what I would say 90% of disc golfers
It's kinda like the
should
Parker Welk
probably,
one, where, like,
yeah,
he'll
it's
punch
really
way through it.
compact,
Yeah.
and you kind of just let your body flow through it.
There's one problem in my footwork that I don't know if it's being closer to fix because of just what we're talking about now, but I've noticed it a lot. But we're gonna try these mid ranges first.
Dude, that's like the best forehand ever. That's better than mine already.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And that's like that's not like a forehand
no,
disc
that's like my
either.
flippiest chariot I have.
That like, yeah.
Okay, I think I tried a little hard on
Yeah,
that one.
you did. I could tell.
Yeah.
So the chariot, you really just let it flow.
Yeah.
That one, you kind of like hit it a little bit, I guess.
I tried. Maybe my hand got a little too forward.
Yeah.
I noticed before I would typically almost end my stride here, and I think I'm now a little bit more like in line or like forward.
Yeah.
Instead of opening up a little too early, which might help. And I don't know
Yeah.
if it's
To be
cause or
honest,
effect.
I'm definitely like, my forehand footwork is probably far from perfect, but I tend to like, I try and let my upper body do the work. I'm not saying this is how you should do it. I let my upper body do the work, and whatever my feet need to do to execute the throw happens.
I think that makes sense because I'm focusing on that,
You know?
and I don't think my feet are the problem right now. But I think focusing on that is. We're gonna try the Rolo next. I have a bunch of opportunities to get that goal complete, but we'll try the Roman here first. A little flat guy. I was a little ahead of that one.
Rolo.
Let it flow. Nope.
Tricky. Yeah. And the
One more.
Rolo's one that's just overall like, it's hard to throw forehand, honestly.
I think you're so right about, like, especially learning something new like this. I have some throws, like that chariot was great. I had a couple throws last
Yeah.
time. That last Sphinx was low, but no wobble. And it's like, all I'm worried about is getting my proportion of good to bad throws to be better. It's not going to be perfect every time. You need to find the feel, and then you'll lose the feel, and then you'll find it again. And every time every time it's faster for you to find the feel again, that's how you know you're getting better.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you're not going to be perfect immediately. It's like
So,
not possible.
I throw a lot of forehands. Like, I'll go through phases where no matter the hole, I'll throw a forehand on it. But I also do that with backhand. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty 50-50 player, but I go through waves. That being said, I'll throw a horrible forehand sometimes. I'll throw it and like, what? And I'm like, you're telling me I got a forehand tutorial out there? But in that one throw, I can usually diagnose what I did wrong and fix it immediately on the next one. And that's part of like knowing the feel that I need to have a good forehand.
I think that's so interesting because what you just said made it click in my mind that is absolutely not what I have for my forehand. For my backhand, it's exactly opposite. Like, I know exactly what I did wrong almost every backhand that I throw. That's not how I want to. Forehands, I'm like, oh gosh, what is it?
Yeah.
And so I
Yep.
think the more you find the feel, the more you'll just start to intuit it better. And that's just going to be a learning process over time.
Yep.
Buckets. I've shot away from drivers a little bit so far, but this one is about 330 hyzer. So I think I'm going to mess around with a driver or two here real fast. We'll start with one of my flippier ones, my Island Emperor. This is one interesting thing though, is I think I'm debating getting same disc as my backhand for my forehand. Maybe it's different Emperors, maybe. Honestly, I really like his reach on a forehand. That thing is so good. But just like new discs, just because my forehand and backhands are very different shots right now, and hopefully eventually they get to be closer in skill level, but we'll try this first. I'm just so tempted to be forward, and I almost need to kind of start it down here, and then like let it do its thing, instead of starting it here, because I'm already like a little tense, whereas this is like everything feels loose.
That's kind of what I do. I mean, dude, that's pretty solid. Like,
I think I parked it.
yeah. And see, that's when I'm doing like my finessey throw.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing is I'm literally dropping it back almost like this.
Yeah.
And you're building that momentum, and then you're kind of
Yeah.
whipping it around, which is some people's bodies will never.
Yeah.
They won't be athletic enough to ever do that. Some people, it's just the unfortunate thing, and they're only going to be able to do like just bang.
Yeah. I almost
But
wonder too
if you can.
Yeah.
I think having that like loose feel, but then at the end you can kind of bring that energy that you're gathering together and really just kind of let it whip through.
That's so smooth. It also makes me think that even if I'm like working on this really whippy one right now, and it doesn't become what I like as my stock shot, but it informs how loose I can feel before I get into that. Because right now I'm so tight up here.
So let me show you something that I think if you can figure out that literally just like letting your whole body be loose and then just flicking your wrist. So if you're like in the woods, okay, I'm scrambling, I can literally just take the Buzz SS and like whip it.
Yeah.
Because my arm knows what it's supposed to do. I don't even need the rest of my body.
And you've done it so much you're not like hurting yourself when you do that.
Yeah, I can like literally stand and just like whip it around.
Yeah.
And so for scramble shots, I think that's like been a game changer for me. The Buzz SS and your Sphinx are like my wooded scramble forehand. Like I can literally have no feet and I just whip my arm, and it's a relatively like accurate, confident shot. Like that, those are good. There's nothing wrong with those. There's obviously a little bit of wobble, but like barely.
Yeah. It's so much better.
Whereas before, like, dude, your forehands are literally like ducks. Like literally, like.
One thing to note, I will say I do feel something in my elbow right now, but I've also had pain in my elbow, and I know what strength training my elbow feels like, and it feels more like I'm using it than hurting it. So if it like hurts or you have a new feeling, like stop if you're trying something like this. For me, I have no problem continuing going on because I know I'm not hurting it. I'm just using the long head of my tricep and I'm feeling where it inserts, and that's fine. So if you don't know that though, maybe stop a little sooner. But if you know your body well, don't go through pain and
I think
yourself.
any new movement is going to cause some sort of like soreness or like you're not going to throw a completely new form and your body's just going to be like, oh, sounds good, feeling great. Like it's going to affect it. Obviously try and tell the difference between being just like new soreness and actually hurting yourself.
I'm not really like a 330-foot hyzer forehand guy, but the first one I threw is a little past the pin parked, and then these ones are both within 20 feet, 18 feet, so something he's doing is working.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have like a direct headwind on this hole. 415 down there.
A thing that really developed for me when I started flicking like Buzz SS's and stuff like that was, you know, normally you see a 400-foot hole, you're like, okay, if I'm throwing a forehand, I gotta smack a hyzer destroyer or whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas as I developed that forehand touch with the flippier mids or even like some putters or stuff, I then got to a place where I could take like a super beat up Star Wraith and throw it exactly how I would throw a Buzz SS, but then it would go 400 feet because it's an 11 speed beat up, you know, and it got me to the point where I could reach these distances. It took me a while to like realize I could even do it.
Yeah.
Because in theory, like throwing that smooth forehand mid-range shot shouldn't get you that much distance, but we all know smooth is far, spin is far, and then put a little speed in there and there you got a shot. So then I could when I learned that I could transfer that same idea to like a beat up distance driver, and I really got some like effortless distance. Now, is that always gonna, like, you're playing on tour a lot of times now, are you gonna be able to throw a flippy distance driver? Probably not, because it's gonna be too damn windy.
Yeah.
And it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It might not like work in that case scenario.
But having that shot, because I mean, I played a lot of like the open courses this year, and if I am able to go back on tour next year, hopefully it's for all of it. And then you get to the stretch that's coming up these next couple months, and it's like woodsy, where that shot does work a lot of the time.
Let's see what we can do. Yeah, this is I'd say about the last hole I'd ever throw a forehand on right now.
I also don't know why I said hole 7. This is the hole that I meant. Hole 7 is actually not a bad one to like try to get the circle on forehand. So if I can't do it here, I might cheat and say that I actually meant real hole 7. But this is the one I was talking about. Headwind right to or left to right, so you have to almost push something over. Give myself a good couple options, including flippy faro. But we'll start kind of with this same emperor I just threw that one with. Stay under it. No!
See, isn't it funny though how obviously that's not to the basket, but that kind of worked even though it was so wobbly. Like, disc golf's so weird.
Okay, I think too, what I just noticed when you threw and not what I'm not doing is getting like crunching into the last throw, like the last step. I'm staying a little high in my spinal vectors.
Yeah, that's another thing I've actually like taught a few people before is like, ooh,
too flippy.
So a lot of people, let me grab a disc quick to kind of show. A lot of people when they're throwing a forehand, they're gonna like run up and then they're gonna go, and their chest is gonna just like flail up in the sky. I've literally told people like take your disc, throw it into the ground 70 feet ahead of you. Because if you do that, you're probably gonna throw it like a little too high and go 200 feet instead. Like it's a weird thing, but so many people get that like swoop. Whereas if you just kind of like hit it down there, it would like make a little sense.
This is the one that's gonna do it.
There you go.
Stay over it. Off the middle finger. Smooth.
Yeah? I just don't think that tree is going to allow us to swing one.
No.
But,
yes. Oh my. Is that a Firebird?
yeah.
That's so nasty. Jeez. All right. Hole 7. We skipped hole 6. Not really the best forehand hole. And we wanted to get to the hole where I obviously was talking about like doing the goal of getting inside circle 1. So 355 straight down there. I think I'm going to go back to throwing like 10 speeds and below. Wow.
Just not quite the
that was
stability you need.
No, I didn't think I would throw it that hard. Carryover concept that's interesting for my training is you can only work so hard with having integrity in movement, and then it just all breaks down. And we might be like past that point already for me where I had some throws early, and those are the only throws I could do really well right now. And then let my body learn that, come back tomorrow, do more throws, and like build up the tolerance of how many throws my body can do like the right way, because we might be close to out of those because my body is like getting a little more tired and you're feeling that happen. So
and I mean think like every hole, maybe not every hole, but I've tried to like be like, okay, now try this, now try this. Because I'm saying try this doesn't mean it's gonna work for everybody.
So this one I'm not too mad at. It's the Roman, probably about 360, 365 down a hill, but in a crosswind, so not the right wind. And now we have check hole 7 inside the circle. Had to cheat a little bit and throw a couple extra shots, but that's in the circle.
I feel like that was pretty added a little more
Yeah,
wobble.
it was some wobble,
Just
but
most likely be because you're just doing so many new things.
I'm not too mad about it. There's still so much to learn. What were you just saying about your Firebird?
So I have a Star Firebird that's just super beat up, but because it's a Firebird, it still has integrity. But it's like you could throw Anheuser's with it. But it's my forehand workhorse. Basically, I found a disc that works on so many different situations. And, you know, I can throw that thing 275, I could throw it 250, but I could throw it 400, maybe even a little bit more. And so it's like I can cover such a wide variety with one disc that I feel so confident in, and then I have like an ultra and a zone that I am like very confident in as well if I need to go shorter, and I have, you know, some distance drivers that I like to bomb, but like find that one disc that works and like utilize it on as many different angles and shots as you can, and then it's just like less to worry about, I guess. Yeah. So you need to find that disc.
Your wind is down a little bit, so
let's see it.
We'll go ultra first, and then we'll attempt the roll. Oh, I said that and wind picked up, so that's fun. This one is 302, so if I'm able to like throw a smooth ultra out there, maybe keep it like flat to hyzer, I will have counted this day a success no matter what, especially because it's a headwind. But I do like this for a forehand. Not quite there, but
smooth shot though.
Very smooth, yeah. Try the roll.
It's interesting because you're getting, I would say, smoother releases with like mid ranges and stuff, which I feel like for a lot of people would not be the case just based on the depth of them. And oh,
that was close. It's gonna roll up to it.
To be honest, that was kind of like a smooth throw.
Yeah,
you didn't just like wobble it over. Yeah. It's just a roll into a headwind.
Smooth.
Dude, the skips out here are nuts.
I honestly feel like this disc is going to be one of those like Workhorse
I
flat
think
ones
for you,
me,
the
'cause it's so
Roman
neutral,
could be the one, yeah.
And it's like, I feel like I can get those like pushy Anheuser shots, but it's also kind of money. That was just so smooth.
That was butter. Go in.
Oh, I think that's the one.
Yeah.
Last forehand bonanza hole.
Last banana forehand.
You got to rip it, and then you got to assess whether or not I've achieved your goal. And I have to see if I can get the Rolo. Might not have chosen the right course wind-wise to try to get the Rolo to fly, but
Yeah.
you're safe.
That was horrible. Zone assess almost caught the water.
I am thinking headwind. I think this Roman is kind of, it's the new Proto Glow ones of them.
Yeah, that's a clean I love that stamp because it's just
I think it's my favorite stamp.
Yeah.
that I've
I
run
don't
so
like
far.
like the, nowadays every company's got these messed up stamps.
Yeah, like this freaking like
that-
Halo Sphinx, that Tour Series one.
Dude,
It's gross.
bleh, looks like a misprint.
No, why's the wobble? That's a better throw though.
Yo.
Ew.
Oh gosh.
All right. No wobble on this one. I think I honestly think a part of the wobble that came from that one, maybe self-diagnosing, is I came through and then I came up here and this was lagging a little bit because my chest came up a little, and so that
I
disconnection
could actually see
added
that
some
your
wobble.
body was forward on that throw.
A little too much wobble. I think we're gonna
Yeah.
have to give it a X for the Rolo
Once
today.
again, the headwind Rolo.
Not the play. I might give myself one more chance on the back nine on a hole if it's a better wind. Just try it out.
Oh, Sphinx?
Yeah.
Butter. Drop.
I loosened my grip a lot on that hole, on that one, and I think that helped a lot to not be over gripping and getting everything
I'm
forward.
not gripping it very hard. I'm kind of just letting it
I think that
hang.
helped it get off my finger, and that was, I
Yeah.
think, maybe my smoothest throw of the day.
You want to make sure it's not forward in your hand. Like you want to make sure it's like tucked. Like, some people will throw a forehand and it's like almost like that maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure it's, you know, tucked back, but you're not like, rarely am I just like torquing into it. I'm kind of just like, make sure it's there.
Mm-hmm. Keep the wrist
make
loose,
sure I
otherwise
got
the wrist
that-
isn't loose.
Yeah.
That
and
may
then-
be what helps get my hand get forward.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a perfect flight. The mana in a headwind is not going to fly any more like stable than that. That's butter.
Let's go. That last thing just there, big time help.
In the forehand tutorial I posted the other day, literally the reason I really only talked about 2 points was the throw with the elbow and roll it off your pointer finger, because I just think if you can feel it roll off your, after I posted that video, dude, I've probably had 5 Instagram DMs of people being like, bro, I went out this morning and it completely changed my forehand. All they had to feel was it rolling off their finger properly. And I mean, like, is the wobble completely fixed? No. But I mean, I was wobbling some today too, but it's more of, I feel like you had some better feels today. You threw some very smooth shots with some relatively flippier discs, and you know, you're not going to be able to throw a mana forehand if you're not throwing it pretty good, I guess.
You're a wobble monster.
So, yeah. Overall, who knows, you know? Just got to keep working on what you think you could take away and make actual changes that'll last, you know, because you could try all sorts of things and, you know, oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. Oh, I don't like that today. But you got to find the one things that you can actually like ingrain into your form, and then hopefully actually change it for the long run.
So did I get the Coach Broad anti-wobble seal of approval for today?
Yeah, I mean, there's some buttery ones, some wobbly ones that got turned over, but mainly on like headwind holes where we were probably just trying to throw them way too hard. But
Let's go.
yeah,
2 out of 3 is
like
not
it.
bad. If the wind dies a little bit, you might see one more Rolo attempt. And hopefully it's more than an attempt, but go follow Broad, subscribe to him. We're gonna be filming the back nine, little sunset action. I'm really happy with the progress that was made in just like one little session of just finding the cues that worked for me and then messing around.
cool, because throwing good forehands is really fun.
Yeah.
That's like, honestly, it's the most fun shot. So perfect.